Gotta plug my computer in somewhere. Where can we do that? West.
There should be ports under us. It says we're live. I'm not getting anything though. Why are we not getting anything? Hello? Where you at?
Where can I plug in? Power?
Alright. I'm in the room, but I'm about to leave to go pick up Meredith.
Let me get one of my guys to open it.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, just for like 20 minutes. In like 20 minutes. No, I want to pick her up. She's meeting me at the house. She's meeting me at the house. Alright, come on, come on, come on.
What you need plugged in? Perfect.
Sweet. Thank you.
Alright, is that it? You want
West.
the other one plugged in?
Yeah, well, I'll need a couple outlets probably.
I have two. Do you need more than that?
No, that should be good. I think.
Where's your charger, Wes?
Huh?
Where's your charger?
I don't know. I think it's in here. This ain't got a name.
Where's your charger, boss?
Oh, we are. Look, we're live.
Wes, where's your charger for your computer?
Hold on, you're missing something.
Hey, how you doing?
Are you missing something?
Yeah.
Or no, that's
Yeah.
right. You got it.
You know, it's a 12-footer.
Huh?
Good somewhere else.
It's going all the way up there.
Plug both of them together.
We're running straight in the front to get close up. This doesn't have a mount. It's not. This is a 270. That is $650.95. Which they have. You got the cheaper. Might need exchange for exchange.
You never gave me the box. Alrighty. Thank you. Yes, sir. If you gave me the box, I'd have done it. Look, just attach it right here. With my GoPro.
They don't have the screw pin. If it had the screw pin, we'd be good. Don't take that out. No.
It's done.
Huh?
Problem solved.
Where is it?
What? See? All right.
Me following me.
Huh? You gotta get some tape.
That's how you switch it. Gotta get that tape down.
I'm sorry.
Gotta get that tape down.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'm not cutting that in tape.
Up there.
We're good. That would get my computer. New one. I might put it down. It's like
They're getting it right now.
Just trying to help.
Thanks, man.
Do you know if the live feed link that was posted, I guess, a couple of the past few days, how it'll be streaming? You know if that live link is still going to be good or not?
Correct. It's live right now.
Okay. Can I make sure this is the link that I'm following, which is confirmed?
Ask Aaron Barksdale.
Gotcha. Thank you.
get some tape. I got some duct tape in the phone. I thought he was in a suit. You got to give him some credit for the effort, though. Like, he's trying. You could really see it.
How's your speed?
I think we're
Just,
good.
just open up a web browser and do a speed test. That's what I was saying. Just so you can see what your max is.
Are both those cameras operating?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's Minicam 2. Is that one? That's the feed.
What's Minicam 1? Go to YouTube?
Is it over?
Sweet.
Perfect.
All right, I'll be back.
I've done it a few times. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
We're good. Good. Yeah, this is live right here.
Okay.
What was the last one I have?
They had somebody.
What? How do we change it back to this one?
Huh?
How do we change it between cameras? Is that one? No.
Sorry, man. Are you yeah, doing the live stream. We actually got. I'm ready to take off right now. I'll be back soon.
Is Robert coming?
Yes, I just saw him at 875. He'll be up here. You good, Greg?
I think
There's
so.
a lot of people sharing the link.
Yeah, that's what they said. The website crashed.
Did it?
Yeah, they said the website crashed because there was too many people on it.
There's a lot of people on there.
That's
sharing.
why they were glad we did it for YouTube because YouTube crashed. Because originally I was going to stream it straight to the website. That would have been awful. But it's live right now.
It's a perfect shot.
Sounds good. I'll have to share the link.
Yeah, I'll have to
I can't change back to this one.
Huh?
I can't change back to this one. It's not, but it's only this one. It's that one up there.
I don't know. Just let it roll right now. I gotta run. I'll be back.
Looking good. Probably all the way out front. Greg, we are back. All right.
You know,
Sorry, I'm not going to spill this one.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go with him.
Sorry about that. If I can have your attention, please. We are about to get started. So if I could have everybody start making their way to some seats. We have some things that we're going to hand out to you. Please hang on to them. Their use will be explained shortly. If the candidates could make their way towards the stage, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
They want us to, right?
Do you have a gain on that you can tone it down, I wonder?
I don't even know. These aren't my cameras.
Gotcha. I wonder if under settings. Doesn't look like much. Just a resolution. Huh.
All right.
No, I was just trying to see if we could get rid of the blowout. I mean, we could dim the lights a little bit, but. Oh, there, that's better there.
Everybody's shot, but I don't need to be.
Unless you just don't want to see. We'll take care. You too.
this going to be available on YouTube?
I think so.
Okay.
Can I see what web address you guys are using? Straight to the YouTube, I guess that.
Yeah, I think so.
It was a MS something, and the guy said he had to go back and refresh it, but every time I did, it was just bringing me to the Gator page. So there's a lot of people out there that already got this link. That's what I'm afraid of. They've already got this link, because the site's been shared for a couple of days. I'm afraid when everybody goes to it, this is what they're going to get is the
Okay.
live feed. Rather than live feed.
I'm sure it's got to have settings on that. Yeah. It looks great from here. Yeah. Last minute. Yeah.
You can see it from here.
Yeah. You're right.
It's weird. It's just the light.
Yeah, it looks like it's shining right in the light. Yeah.
Oh, he needs to come on back.
Do you have any sort of iris control for that?
These aren't even my cameras, to be honest, so I have no idea. They're just using my computer.
Oh yeah, that's not.
I'm gonna call them real quick.
Yeah, let's find out before we get started.
You know them? Probably.
Killing the camera.
Yo, are you back yet? Alright, well, the video quality is shit. Like, it's fine. You say it's fine?
Huh?
You think it's fine? I need to move it to the right just a little bit.
It's still really blown out. Just like that, it's really blown out. Still blown out. The camera. Yeah.
Well, it's that camera up there.
Oh, no, sorry. Either way. Zoom out.
Is there a way we could like make the Spence cam work with that?
Probably, but not in 5 minutes. I mean, that's really rad.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I can't even tell if he's getting everybody. He's still not getting everybody.
Getting them there.
No. Nope. No, you're missing the last two stage
hang on.
left. Why don't we put this on center? Nope. Still nowhere to be. You need to go.
He's still missing. You need to get to the left a little bit and come back a little bit. I don't think he's zoomed either. No.
I don't understand why I didn't put it on center.
Come to the left just a little bit.
You got them all.
Right there, you got them.
It's still really blown out. Yeah, it's really too hot.
I was told this. Find the way in my set.
Thank you. The microphone is on. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to 2000.
I don't know what to do, man, other than have an iris on that thing. I don't know.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Well, thank you very much for participating in this wonderful event. Today, we're going to offer America another choice. We are going to offer America another choice. That's why we're here. I want to introduce to the stage the chairman of the Libertarian National Committee, Mr. Nick Sarwark.
Good evening. First, I want to start by thanking the Libertarian parties of Alabama and Mississippi for putting on this debate. As you all know, but not everyone in America knows, the Libertarian Party always holds a contested convention. Rather than have our race decided in smoky back rooms, by primary voters or caucuses, we do it the old-fashioned way. Delegates from all around the country come together at our national convention, this year to be held Memorial Day weekend in Orlando, Florida, and decide which of these people up on this stage will best represent the Libertarian Party to the American people. And And that's why debates like this are so invaluable, because they show our delegates who these people are and help us make the best choice to represent the best party in the general election in November. The Libertarian Party, I've been asked about it many times today. We are the only political party in the United States that's dedicated to all of your freedoms, all of the time. If you want to continue to participate in an argument over which parts of your life the government is going to control, over which politicians are going to tell you how to raise your kids, how to run your business, what you can put in your body, then there are two old parties you might be interested in. But if you're tired of the clown show of politics, of people fighting over how to control your life, if you believe, like I believe, like the people on this stage believe, that you, as an American, have a right to live your life any way you choose, as long as you don't hurt anyone and you don't take their stuff. If you believe that, one of these people is the person that represents you. If you want a party that represents lobbyists, big business, special interests, unions, there are two old parties that might be right for you. But if you want a party that gives voice to the voiceless, that stands up for the people who are oppressed by our government, that stands up for the small business owner who just wants to make jobs for his fellow human beings, that stands up for the mother who just wants to raise her kids the way she believes is right, who stands up for the person of color in a community plagued by policing for profit, locked in a cage for what they choose to put in their own bodies, seeing law enforcement not as something that protects us from people who would do us harm, but sadly, someone who too often does us harm. Those people don't have a voice in American politics. And I'm here to tell you, the Libertarian Party is that voice. So if you want freedom, vote Libertarian in November. Visit lp.org. Look into us. Listen to what these people have to say, because I guarantee you, this is the only debate you're ever going to watch this year where every single one of these people is fighting to let you run your own life. Thank you.
Okay, let's get started. First, I want to introduce the moderators for this event. From WLOX, Mr. Hugh Keaton. Sitting next to him, most of the people in Mississippi, Alabama, and libertarians all over the nation know Miss Regina Brim. I also, at this time, will introduce the candidates. Starting at the far end of the stage, Dr. Mark Feldman. Next to him from Missouri, Mr. Cecil Pence. From New Mexico, Governor Gary Johnson. Next to him, Mr. John McAfee. From New Hampshire, Mr. Darrell Perry. Standing next to him, Mr. Austin Peterson. Standing next to him, from California, Mr. Reed. Next to him, from South Carolina, Mr. Jack Robinson. From Texas, Mr. Smith. From Kentucky, Miss Sterling. And from Louisiana, Mr. Thomas Clemens. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the candidate for the Libertarian Party nomination for president. When you checked in today, you were given 5 coins, 5 gold coins. We're going to slim down the field a little bit today, just for this one debate. What we're going to do for the first hour, we're going to interview, we're going to question, we're going to investigate and deliberate over these 11 candidates. That's what we're going to do. You have 5 coins in your pocket. Did everybody not get 5 coins? You're going to be distributed coins. When you get these coins, we're going to have a 1-hour debate. When you get your coins, vote for your favorite candidate with your coin. There will be ballot boxes in the back of the room. After the 1-hour debate, we take a 15-minute break to give everyone a chance to refresh themselves, get a drink of water. At that time, we count the votes, and the 5 top coin getters make it to the next round. And that's the way we'll conduct the debate. Debate rules are pretty simple. The moderator is going to ask the candidates a question. The candidate's going to answer it. That's the way it works. Are we ready to start? I turn the questions over to the moderator, Mr. Hugh Keegan.
Thank you, Danny, and welcome everyone. Thank you for being here. We're going to start out with opening statements from each candidate. We'll start here at the far left and work our way down to the far right. Danny, how much time do we have for each opening statement?
Each opening statement is 2 minutes.
Mr. Feldman?
Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Allen Feldman. I'm a physician from Cleveland, Ohio. As an anesthesiologist, I'm used to putting people to sleep one at a time. I want to thank the Libertarian parties of Alabama and Mississippi for putting on this fantastic event. It's an honor to be invited. I see the Libertarian Party not as a set of platform planks and issue papers. We're a group of people, really amazing people with a wonderful diversity of perspectives and philosophies, but all with a rock-solid dedication to our principles. I was not brought into this party by Murray Rothbard or Ron Paul. It was Kevin Nedler and Jeff Neal, Lee Wright, Vicki Kirkland, Mary Ruart, Jim Lark, Star Child, Bill Redpath, and a host of others. I value the contributions of every libertarian, from the most radical abolitionist anarchist to the most pragmatic Rand Paul supporter. I am not a you should do it this way libertarian. I'm a this is the way I do it libertarian. I serve on the Libertarian National Committee as Region 3 representative for Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio, as well as being the vice chair of the Central Committee for the Libertarian Party of Ohio. I'm a life member, which I think not just is the way I pay my dues, but I wear this pin with pride because I am a Libertarian Party member for life. I came at it differently from many people. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C., and I knew politicians personally and never really wanted to support any of them because I thought politician was another word for liar. I grew up with the Vietnam War, Watergate, read my lips, no new taxes, and I did not have sex with that woman, Monica Lewinsky. So if you can't believe what they say, how do you know where the politicians stand? I say follow the money. That's why my campaign is not Mark Allen Feldman for president, it's votes not for sale. And my view is that I accept contributions from anyone with a maximum of $5, and I have a balance and credit plan that will turn our government around. We have a unique opportunity to show a credible, reasonable alternative to Democrats and Republicans, and I'm looking forward to 2016.
I'm Cecil Lentz, and I am an entrepreneur, which is, in my opinion, another word for volunteer. Sometimes they pay me for it. I believe in being in service, especially to this party and the principles in which it stands for. And I believe it's time that we unify the Libertarian Party under one banner. I believe that this country needs to be restored to liberty. And the only way we can do that is by dismantling the economic system and returning it to the people. Because as long as the government has any control over the economic system, we are going to continue to have what we have. And then personal rights, we have too much power and overreach from the federal government. It's time to reduce the federal government. It's time that we have a candidate that will stand behind the platform of the Libertarian Party and unite, as Dr. Feldman said, unite every libertarian under the spectrum. It is time that we stand as one party.
Governor Gary Johnson.
I think that government is way too big, that it tries to accomplish way too much, and that the first thing that we need to try and accomplish is balancing the federal budget, which would be cutting spending by 20% of what's currently being spent. To grow the economy, I think that we should eliminate income tax, corporate tax, abolish the IRS. Talk about lobbyists. If we abolish the IRS, I think 80% of Washington lobbyists go away because that's why they're there, to garner special favor. And as a libertarian, we should replace it with nothing as a libertarian, but I don't think Congress will go along with that. You could replace all this with a national consumption tax. And again, if anybody can make replacing it with nothing stick, I think it's me. I think I can do that. I also think civil liberties are under attack. I think that personal freedom, personal liberty is under attack, and it's getting worse, and it's not getting better. And I would like to point out a report card in 2012. The ACLU did a report card in 2012 on all the presidential candidates. 24 Liberty torches was a perfect score. Mitt Romney, Newt Gingrich, and Rick Santorum had 1 Liberty torch between the 3 of them. Barack Obama was in 3rd place with 16 Liberty torches. Ron Paul was in 2nd place with 18 Liberty torches. And I had 21 Liberty torches, something I was really proud of. The fact that I have stood up for civil liberties and that the ACLU recognized that. And I would also like to tell all of you that I'm suing right now, Our America Initiative is suing the Presidential Debate Commission. And so there's what's at stake here in this debate. What's at stake in this debate is that the Libertarian nominee for president could well be on the debate stage in the general election debates. And that can be an absolute game changer. Thank you.
I come to you untutored in the great thinkers of the Libertarian Party. In fact, the first book I ever read cover to cover was Charles Darwin's Origin of Species at the age of 30. I read that book because I was dealing drugs in Mexico, and that was the only English language book I could find. I was arrested and severely punished, and I understand full well what the criminalization of drugs does in terms of fear and suffering in a society. I know a little bit about foreign policy. I was living in Belize when I was raided by 43 armed soldiers who were trained by the FBI in Quantico. My dog was shot in front of my eyes with an AR-15 given to them by the State Department, and I was tortured using techniques developed by the CIA. I understand that we own our own bodies, and that any legislation that governs how we use our bodies, what we do to our bodies, is the most abusive of all legislation.
Yeah.
I know this from a
But
number of reasons, but mostly I learned this from my wife, who at the age of 20 was forced into prostitution, and for 10 years was beaten, abused, terrorized, separated from her family. A horrible thing, and why? Because prostitution is criminalized, and it creates a profession called pimping, which carries out this abuse.
Okay.
I rescued her personally 3.5 years ago, married her, and she's here in the audience.
I love
you. I understand what personal freedom and privacy mean, because they have been denied me more than once in my life to the extreme, and our government is now taking it away from all of you as well. I understand what it means to make an agreement, because we cannot live without honoring our agreements. I understand what it means to not harm another person and to not take their property, because so many times I have been harmed and my property has been taken. Much has been taken from me. I also know this, I know that none of you in this audience believe that I will win this election or can win this election. I will tell you this, the human spirit is infinite in its capacities. Infinite. I'm 70 years old, and I do not intend to waste a year of my life making a statement or trying to raise someone else's awareness. I am in this to win. And for those of you who doubt it, watch me. Thank you.
When I joined the Libertarian Party in 1999, the motto was the party of principle. And I believe that the Libertarian Party should once again be the party of principle. It should not be the party of half measures and incremental steps. The Libertarian Party should consistently advocate for libertarian ideas. 100% liberty all the time, every issue. There should not be this advocation of, well, let's decriminalize cannabis, but keep the quote-unquote hard stuff illegal, and that will somehow end the drug war. That is not a libertarian principle. The libertarian principle is that you have the right to put in your body anything that you want as long as you don't cause unjust harm to another human being. The libertarian principles are that you get to keep every dime of what you earn, regardless of how you earn it. No one has any claim to the fruits of your labor. That is the Libertarian Party principle. I'm not going to stand up here and say that I have a plan to win the election or sweep the election or win every elector, but what I will stand up here and say is that it is one of my goals to, as loudly as possible and as boldly as possible, proclaim the ideas of liberty every chance I get and give as many people across this great country the chance to vote for an Libertarian in November of 2016.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Austin Peterson, and that's spelled S-E-N. It's Danish, but I was born here in the United States, so don't worry. I was actually born in Independence and raised on a horse farm in Peculiar, just a short drive from a town called Liberty. I was a son of the Ron Paul Revolution. I got involved with politics full-time in 2007 when I saw my country going down the tubes and the economy of this great nation going all to hell. And I saw an old congressman by the name of Dr. Ron Paul tell Rudy Giuliani a thing or two about foreign policy. So I marshaled 12 of my friends and went downtown in New York City, and we turned an activist club of 12 men into 1,200, and we raised over $1 million for Dr. Ron Paul. And while he is a Republican, I assure you I am a libertarian because of that activism, I was given a job to be your volunteer coordinator. And in 2008, I moved to Washington, D.C. And I marshaled hundreds of students and activists and interns, and I turned that national office into a powerhouse of activism. And if I am your presidential candidate, I will take that same rock star quality and I will bring it to your presidential ticket. I promise you that. Now, I've worked for the LP, so I've seen where we're weak. But I've worked for Fox Business, and I know where we can be strong. I've been a community organizer for libertarians, and I run one of the most popular libertarian news magazines in the entire world. So I sell libertarian ideas for profit, and I know how we can do it. And there are victories to be won. From the jaws of defeat, I will snatch a victory for the Libertarian Party, because I have a plan to get us that 5%. And I've been working diligently and spending hours every single day on the phone, calling activists, making calls for donors, and trying to build this party up. Getting people registered for the Libertarian Party so that we can have more delegates and so that we can have more people involved with this party, because I want to grow this party. I want to see a generational change. I think I'm the baby on this stage. I qualified just 2 weeks ago, constitutionally. And while I may be young and young at heart, these ideas are old ideas, the old constitutional Republican ideas. My website is thelibertarianrepublic.com,
and I will fight every single day like I have for the last 10 years to restore a more libertarian republic here in the United States. Thank you.
Next up, we have Derek Reed.
My name is Derek Michael Reed. I'm from California. I'm an experienced engineer, lawyer, military scientist, bullion, banking, finance, market analyst, and geopolitical analyst. I've analyzed the socioeconomic fabric of our society. I've determined what the systemic problems are, the causes of those problems, and have devised a comprehensive solution set to save the country from social chaos and economic ruination. The plan is such that it will appeal to 90% of the American electorate from the get-go. The plan also advances liberty and freedoms from government. It doesn't matter how many liberty torches you have. If you can't win, you aren't going to increase liberties and freedoms. The political process is not a step function. We do not change grossly from one indoctrination to another. It must be done incrementally, the pendulum. The Democrats, the Republicans have sewn up DC with their totalitarian socialistic fascism. The Libertarian Party must rise up and win to provide a counterbalance of liberty to the totalitarian forces in DC. It doesn't matter how many liberty torches you have. It's not done in a step function. You need a candidate who can win. I am more than capable of exposing the farcical nature of any Democrat or Republican candidate and utterly defeat them. If I am nominated by the Libertarian Party, I guarantee victory. I will not achieve all that the Libertarian Party wants, but I will start the movement towards increased liberty and freedoms. I am the practical reality. I am the path to the White House. None other candidate here is. Thank you very much.
Mr. Jack Robinson.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jack Robinson. I'm a businessman. I hail out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. Also very familiar with Tennessee, where I have a packaging company that I founded in 1994. I'm an entrepreneur. Been running that corrugated box business for all that time, and I know something about business. And because I know something about business and seeing the problems of our country, I set forth to see what I could do. Just critical think about it as a matter of civic engagement. And when I finished, I felt like I had an economic program worthy of a presidential platform, whether I am or not. And so I threw my hat in the ring to be the messenger until someone else would carry this message. And to be honest with you, I hope that before this is all over, my economic message becomes the platform of the Libertarian Party. And that we begin to speak in a unified voice, because what I am here to talk about today will solve, in my opinion, and it's a mouthful, all of the great social and economic problems of the world. I think that we will have sort of a boring debate tonight. Let me anticipate some of the answers. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to cut it. Ditto, not for me. An entire hour and a half of that. I think to win this election, you have to be bold, you have to be daring, you have to be wise, you have to have a good plan. And if we want to get more votes than our best performance ever of 1%, then you're going to have to capture the imagination of the American people. You're going to have to show the other parties what they want to. And if you can do that, if you can solve this great social and economic problems of the world with the values of libertarians without violating our principles, and we don't do that, we don't pay attention, we don't critically think, and we don't get behind it as a voice, then we are an irresponsible group and an irresponsible party. I'm running because not to run would be irresponsible. I refuse to do that. I'm going to give it my best. I hope you'll get behind me. I'll do my best to explain it. Very sincere, easy to implement, easy to understand, immediately effective, and absolutely correct. Thank you.
Red Smith.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank each and every one of you. I didn't mean to scare you. I want to thank each and every one of you. It is so critically important that people like yourself are the new leaders. We'll lead America tomorrow. And basically, I want to give you a little of my history. My name is Rhett Rosenquist Smith. I took my mother's maiden name. My grandfather on her side was a judge, Judge Rosenquist, and he was not born in America. He was born in Sweden, and they immigrated when he was a child. So it's so important that we remember our history, that each of you has a history to remember, but our collective history, our universal history.
I agree.
Why am I running? I'm a United States military veteran. Thank you. I served in the United States Navy from 79 to 83 and went through the Suez Canal and served in the Indian Ocean. I guess I'm a true believer, and I believe that some way, somehow, America can regain the initiative to lead the world. Remember the American Revolution. I call it the Libertarian Revolution. Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine. Why are those revolutionary, those terrorists, not remembered today? They were there before there was a Republican Party, before there was a Democratic Party. We've got to rekindle that and reawaken the American spirit. So what I want to do is talk about the first freedom, extend that. I want to translate the First Amendment into every language on the face of the earth, and let the world know what America stands for, and stop violating our own policies. We talk about freedom on the one hand, but we support oppressors on the other, all around the world. Look at the Middle East, Islamic states. We're worried about ISIS, but we're supporting many Islamic states throughout the Middle East. What is the difference? When we don't stand on our own values, our own principles, and Obama wants to take away our religion and our guns, are we nuts? We're sowing the seeds of our own demise, whether it's Obama, Clinton, or Bush, Cheney. These people want to play God, and they're destroying your life day by day, dollar by dollar. So I will talk about communication. We need to improve our communication. We've got to have a way to communicate with all Americans all the time, so we need new hardware, new software to do that. I will bring in each of the 50 states to build up their own economy. We've got to stop running to Washington, D.C. for every problem. Each state needs to learn how to stand on their own. Is my time up? Okay. Maybe we'll get more time later. Thanks.
Shauna Sterling.
Hi, I'm Shauna Sterling, and I'm just so excited to be here. To see everyone here is amazing. Growing up, I was always told I was a Republican, and I'm 43 now, so I was supposed to be this lifetime Republican, and then I took off the summer to go help out at NASA, and I got to do STEM education, which was amazing. If you know anything about NASA, I was at NASA Goddard, and they have a lot of scientists there. It's awesome. But when I finished that, the Democratic Party contacted me, and they asked me to help them get Obama elected, which I was thinking, I'm supposed to be Republican, But I also wanted people to get health insurance. And I've always helped people since I was 12 years old. I've done volunteer work. I love helping people. And I helped out the Democratic Party. I was an Obama organizer. And I helped Obama get elected, and I would make calls, and there's one call that just grabs hold of my heart. I called, and this little kid answered. He's like, hello. I was like, can I talk to your dad? And he got his dad, and his dad was in our military. And I said, hey, you know, I'm calling for on behalf of Obama, we're wanting to get him in. And he said, well, I really want my, my brother's home. And I said, well, we're going to try and do that. And I'll finish up here, but I said, you know, this is the biggest decision you're going to have. You're going to pick who your next commander-in-chief is. And I regret that I helped Obama get in. That's why I'm on this stage right now, because it's time for us, the Libertarians, to take our country back.
Thomas Clements.
Thank you. I'm Thomas Clements, candidate for President of the United States, and I'm running on one thing and one thing only, and I'm looking for unity in our country. For 240 years, it seems like to the victor, spoils to the losers. For 4 years, half and half of the country is back and forth, till we get another president and it goes back and forth again. So I've put it upon myself to say, well, no more. We can't do this anymore. And I look at our national debt. We're at 19 trillion now. We know we're going to 20. And if we let another one of those presidents that the people are so bent up on, well, we'll probably go to 26 trillion. There's no sense in that. Nobody needs to go there. I got grandchildren. And this is the motivation that drives me to come up here and talk to everybody. The entire United States. We have to stop what we're doing. This is normal. And some people go, well, it's just a two-party system. Our founding fathers didn't create that, okay? They give us all the power. The people have all the power, okay? You can elect anybody you want from any party. And that's what the people don't understand in this country. And we're taught and raised our whole life that way. And just, when does that stop? And so this is our year. This is our time for the American people to come together. And I'm looking for unity. And I want victory for all. And people go, well, you can't solve it. No, I can't. You know, Congress can't either. They got 13% approval. Nobody's fixing Congress. So we need to come together as one. Everybody. You know, I talk to libertarians here in this room, but I'm also talking to every Democrat, Republican in this entire country. Unity. Does anybody know what that means? Victory for all. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm fighting for. See, a government policy took away my private sector, opportunity. I said, well, these policies can't go. Get the right exposure. So I'm going to the government. And I'm going to change these policies so I can go back to my private sector and do what I love to do. And this is why I'm asking for your vote. And this is why I'm asking to be the President of the United States of America. And thank you all for having me here tonight.
And now we will focus on specific questions. Each candidate has 1 minute to answer each question posed. And the first question is going to go to Austin Peterson. We just heard Mr. Clements talk about the deficit. Mr. Peterson, if you proposed a budget, would anywhere in that budget would you request deficit spending?
Absolutely, and I think that the first thing that we need to address, if any of us were to be elected President of the United States, is the out-of-control government spending. We have a problem of a $20 trillion national debt, but we also have an estimated unfunded liabilities problem that could be hundreds of trillions of dollars. I am proposing a very simple fix. It's called the penny plan, and what the penny plan would do is it would cut 1 penny out of every federal dollar. Now, we could balance the federal budget in 5 years if we cut 1 penny out of every federal dollar. That's just 1% of spending, across the board spending cuts. Now, the way that this plan works is that if Congress decides that some program is just deemed too essential, perhaps, like Social Security or Medicare, they can have an equal corresponding cut to another program. As long as we cut 1% of federal spending year over year, we could have the budget balanced by my second term, 5 years. The penny plan is estimated to save us perhaps $7.9 trillion in government spending over the next 10 years. That would get the budget back on track, and that's what we need to be pushing. And if I were the President of the United States, I would veto every bill that did not address the deficit in spending until Congress passed me a bill that would set us on the path towards fiscal solvency.
On his way.
Yeah, why somebody such my son?
Even if it's fair tax, flat tax, modify the current tax structure, or something else. Mr. Felton?
My balance and credit plan makes 2 changes to our current tax code. It's reasonable, it's simple, it's constitutional. Number 1, balance the budget. 5 years to balance the budget is 5 years too late. We need to balance the budget today. I will not add $1 to the debt during my administration. In terms of the tax plan, after balancing the budget, I would simply convert all deductions to taxable incomes to dollar per dollar tax credits. This is as it's been listed for decades on the Libertarian platform. You can donate $1,000 to private charity, take $1,000 off your taxes. If you want to send any money at all to the IRS, it's voluntary. This puts the government in direct financial competition with the private sector and builds the social safety nets as it drastically decreases the size of government at the same time.
As President of the United States, if a bill is brought to my desk to sign that is for a balanced budget amendment, I would sign it. I support a balanced budget amendment to the United States Constitution, and in fact would make recommendations to Congress to have such a thing. Flat tax, fair tax, let's repeal the 16th Amendment, call for a constitutional convention. No man has the right to the fruits of my labor or anybody else's. It needs to be a voluntary system. You know, we pay as we go. I buy something, it's a goods exchange, no taxes.
In 2012, I advocated a balanced budget in 2012, which amounted to cutting 40 cents out of every dollar. Today, it's about 20 cents out of every dollar, and I do advocate balancing the federal budget today. In that context, that means addressing the entitlements, Medicaid, Medicare. I think that you can block grant the states a fixed amount of money. Based on my experience as governor of New Mexico, I, in my heart of hearts, believe that New Mexico could in fact deliver Medicaid and Medicare for 20% less. And that also involves military spending. We're spending more money than all the other countries in the world combined. We need to stop with our military interventions. They're not making the world a safer place, they're making it a less safer place. I've not operated in a vacuum on all this. I've got some free market economists that have come on board and advised me throughout all this process. And what they say is that the fairest way, best way to do this is to go to a national consumption tax, eliminate income tax, eliminate corporate tax, abolish the IRS. And what I say is, and I don't want to say fair tax because there isn't a fair tax out there, but you can use the fair tax as a template for how to dot the I's and cross the T's to actually accomplish one federal consumption tax.
Thank you. Candidate Cappy?
And let me just add, it's hard for us to hear up on stage. It's hard to hear other candidates, and it's hard to hear you all.
Okay.
Feedback.
It's the feedback. Here's what's being spent currently in the federal budget. The largest division is the Department of Urban Development, Housing and Urban Development, $1.2 trillion a year, $770 billion a year for Social Security, $570 billion a year for the Department of Defense, and here's one for you, the Department of Agriculture, $360 billion. What do? They pay farmers not to grow food. You can look at any single agency within the government. My favorite is the Transportation Security Administration, which has 55,000 employees. What do? They treat us like the enemy. They do not protect us in any way, shape, or form. If we cannot trim the federal budget by 1/2 within 1 year of taking office, then we've done something wrong, something terribly wrong. And why do we need an income tax? Let's look at payment for goods and services. Americans drive 1.2 trillion miles per year at an average cost of 63 cents per mile. That's gas, wear and tear on your car, maintenance, and so on. If we charge $10 for every 1,000 miles driven, we would make $13 billion just from this alone. The Department of the park fees, we get $200 million a year in park fees. That could be increased. In terms of tariffs, okay, currently $60 billion worth of illegal drugs come into this country, most of them from Colombia. If we took a tariff of 50%, I do believe that the Colombian government would be happy to pay $30 billion for doing that. We need to we need to think outside the box. We need to look at the hard numbers. I'm a mathematician, and numbers stay in my head. This is something that is doable, balancing the budget, and we do not need an income tax. Not just the IRS, we don't need an income tax. We can do this. Use the numbers. Add and subtract. Thank you.
The question was flat tax, fair tax, or something else. And I will answer by saying that the tax that I support is the only libertarian tax, and that is none. What I advocate is 100% voluntary funding of every government program that exists. I don't know of any person that does not like education. I actually donate funds to education, even though I'm forced to pay education taxes. I would donate even more money to education if I was not being taxed and funding through coercion a government-run school that is a lot less efficient than the private schools that I donate to. So we can look at that with anything, with roads, with NASA, with art museums. And then this is one of the lies that people wind up trying to say is that, well, if we cut federal spending, then art museums and libraries will shut down. That's not true at all. On average, art museums and libraries get somewhere between 10 to 20% of their funding through tax dollars. They could very easily wind up making that up through private donations. And I advocate that for everything. If you want a big military, give money to it, but don't take money from anyone for any reason.
The question is flat tax versus the fair tax.
Flat tax, fair tax.
I have to agree with my friend Darryl Perry here. I'm really in favor of no tax. But if I'm forced to live in a society where we must pay taxes, then I think that we should probably just cut the taxes we have rather than try and implement some new form of a tax scheme. I think it's naive to assume that Congress is going to abolish one tax in favor of another. They never do. They just create the new tax and then they keep the old taxes on top of it. So perhaps the best way that we can approach this is for us to cut the taxes we have, abolish the payroll tax. I don't know if anyone here has a job or owns a business and has ever had to pay the payroll tax, but I could hire another employee for what I pay in my payroll taxes. So let's abolish that tax completely, immediately. And I would like to cut corporate income taxes in half at a minimum to begin with. 39%, the biggest in the civilized world, the first world. Let's cut the corporate income tax rate in half immediately. I also think that if we're going to have a form of an income tax, such as it is right now, let's flatten it out. You know, the difference between the Libertarians and the two major parties is that both major parties, the leading candidates, are progressives. Donald Trump is a progressive Republican, and Hillary Clinton is a progressive Democrat. They both believe in a progressive income tax. They want to punish success, and you know why? It's because they're already successful. So they don't want to throw the ladder down for the rest of us. I want a flat tax because then everybody pays the same. We all pay into the system. Let's cut our taxes in half, 10 to 15%. If it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. So I want to cut the taxes. I don't want to implement any new tax schemes. I just want to get rid of the taxes that we have. You know, the Founding Fathers, they didn't lay an income tax. No direct apportionment of taxes. You know how George Washington built the roads? Liberals always say, without government, who would build the roads? Well, George Washington built the roads. You know how? He held a lottery, and he signed the ticket, and he sold the lottery tickets. A lottery is a great tax. It's a tax on people who are bad at math. Let's just tax the people who are bad at math.
Thank you, Ken.
Not the hardworking, productive people of America.
Candidate Reed.
The best tax is the simplest and least onerous. It has nothing to do with flat tax, fair tax, or any other kind of tax. It has to do with the oppression of the IRS on the people. The tax scheme I propose is the least oppressive, giving the people increased liberty and freedom in their lives. I am absolutely astounded at the lack of fundamental understanding of the economic realities today being displayed presently. Any candidate who suggests to you a balanced budget, pandering you, love them, as is their want, cannot do so. A balanced budget may have worked in the early 80s. We are so far beyond balancing the budget to cure the economic situation that it is folly to even consider. Communists have 5-year plans. Capitalists don't. Reminds me of the Republicans. Oh yeah, we can balance the budget in 5 years.
Thank you,
It's
Ken.
not a budgetary problem, it's an insolvency problem, and unless you address national debt, you cut the budget, you're going to slam the economy into a death spiral.
Thank you, Candidate Reed. Thank you. Candidate Robinson.
First of all, let me just take issue with the fact that we cannot balance the budget. We can balance the budget. We can balance it very quickly. It's not that hard. We're about $500 billion in debt. We can balance it through an improvement of our national credit rating. As soon as you do that, several $100 billion will come back into our coffers that we're paying out now in higher loans. And there's many other ways too. We're only about $500 billion in debt, $500 billion. In fact, it's about 5 line items on my webpage that haven't balanced. And that's where you need to start. You have to start with a balanced budget, and then what happens? Well, what I'd like to mention to you right now is that I'm going to come at this problem again with an exciting, thoughtful, and original plan. The answer to your question of what type of tax plan, I recommend a descending flat tax. Descending because starting at about 19.5%, which is what it takes to balance, to meet our bills. We have to manage with the fiduciary responsibility. Then my birth loop economics will explode the economy, and the way that I foresee reducing our debt, reducing our taxes, and using our tax revenues is simply like this. For every dollar that comes in the future, 50% of it can go toward the federal budget. 25% of it will be used to pay down our national debt. And the other 25% of it will be used to reduce our taxes. I said a descending flat tax starting at 19.5%, culminating between 10 and 15%.
Thank you, Ken.
That's my vision.
Thank you. Candidates.
Thank you very much. And I think libertarians, as you all probably already know, libertarians always win the battle on economics. Why? Because freedom works. Take the government out of the way, and our economy starts to grow again. So basically, we need more communication. That will bring growth. But the problem with the balanced budget amendment, of course, that we're always undermined by national security. So we have a balanced budget amendment, and then, of course, if we're in a national crisis, we have to violate the balanced budget amendment to fund it. Basically, some of the candidates have mentioned not having any taxes, and when we're looking, even Donald Trump said this, even Donald Trump understood. Why take taxes from people that have no funds, no income, they're already at the lowest level they can be, so we should have no sales taxes, no property taxes, no income taxes for these low-income people. That stimulates the economy immediately. That's it's a simple answer for libertarians. Get the government out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy Sterling.
The IRS is out of control. I don't know how else to explain it. As a U.S. president, I would not, under any circumstances, raise taxes on any bracket. Our people are already struggling. Our families are struggling. Even, and this might seem unreal, but even the wealthy are having it hard. Okay, our whole nation is under attack. And I believe that what we need to do is, one, we need to get rid of Obama and anyone else who's going to come in and say, I'm going to help to balance the budget, and then when he gets in, it's almost like he just keeps adding it on and getting us under so much debt that it makes it look like impossible to get out of. The other quick thing I want to add is that I don't think the IRS should have anything to do with our health care. The fact that we have to tell them every time and every year if we have had our health care for every month is ridiculous. They should not be involved in that at all. I'll just close to say that this isn't just something one person can do. This whole party's got to be behind it. We've all got to work together on this.
Thank you.
I suggested 5 years ago when I was in a U.S. Senate hearing and I was being bombarded with senators and on the opposite Democrats and stuff. They were bombarding me with questions. What would you do, Mr. Clemens? I said, I suggest a flat tax rate. At least it's a start in the right direction for every single American. I mean, obviously, nobody wants to pay taxes, but we have to start somewhere. And a flat tax rate, at least what that number could be, we need new experts in there to really find that out. 15%, 10%, 8%. That's a good start for this country. But every American citizen has to step up and call your representatives, call your senators, tell them, look, I'm working less hours, I'm still paying the same tax rate. And that's got to stop too. And they only got one phone working, so you need to have them install about 10, 20 phones in each office. And but I suggest a flat tax rate, and that's a good start for our country. And can also help bring back jobs from other countries where companies have left because of the corporate tax rate. We would need a flat tax rate for the businesses as well. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you.
This question is for Mr. Feldman. Since you have a medical background, you might be able to shed some more light on this issue. In your opinion, do you think that medical costs are out of control? And is there a need to reduce those medical costs? Do you have a potential plan to accomplish that?
Yes, I have a master's degree in health finance and management, Department of Health Policy and Management at Johns Hopkins. And it's important to understand where these costs come from. There's basically two areas. One is that people aren't spending their own money. It's done through insurance. It's separated in several layers. There's no incentive for hospitals and pharmaceutical companies to decrease costs. Decrease costs just means increase profit. The other issue when we talk about healthcare is to realize where our health comes from. The number one thing that science has done for us is separating the sewage from our water supply. Once you've done that, you've taken care of about a large majority of what science can do for us. So unless you live in Michigan, you're already in good shape. From a libertarian perspective, people say, well, what can we do without government? We have separation of church and state. We find that that's worked out very well. Atheists do quite well as Jews, Christians, Muslims, and anyone else. You have no problem finding a church, mosque, temple anywhere. I would like to see separation of healthcare in state. I don't want to tell government, leave us alone. I want to tell government, relax, we got this.
kind of follow up on this question, Ms. Sterling. You said you supported President Obama in the 8 years ago, and you wanted to see all Americans receive health care. You appear to have changed your stance in that one.
I do, and even I ran up against Mitch McConnell too, and I was saying we just need to modify it. I am at the point where the ACA needs to be repealed, all of it. It's horrible for America. Our families, they're losing the medication that they once had access to. The premiums are doubling. It's horrifying, and I'd seek to repeal it. That's where I'm at this point. Did that answer your question?
You were straightforward with it, yes.
Okay.
The next question goes to Governor Johnson. For years, veteran benefits are constantly whittled away by Congress. What steps would you take to ensure that the government honors the contracts they make for veterans and to those that enlist today?
Well, for those that have served and that we have made a commitment to, which we should make a commitment to, those commitments should absolutely be honored, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Candidate Kathy, would you care to elaborate or answer the question? Candidate McCaffey, would you like to elaborate or respond to the question?
Absolutely. I think that the saddest condition of America today, one of the saddest, other than the fact that we are ill-prepared for the next cyber war that's coming, is the way we treat our veterans. We ask young men to go into arms, to bear arms and go into war risking life and limb, and some of them come back with no limbs, and we treat them like aliens. We have an unwritten contract with these men and women when we ask them to risk their life and risk their limb in some foreign country, and they come back maimed. The unwritten contract is we will take care of you. We can't ask people to do this and then ignore them. So this is the saddest affair in America today, and it has to be addressed, and it has to be addressed very quickly.
Thank you very much, sir.
Next question here for Daryl Perry. We're going to talk about gun control and kind of your stance there. What is your stance on universal concealed carry permits?
I support the Vermont model. Vermont, as you may or may not know, has never, ever in the history of its existence had any sort of concealed carry permit. There's no registration requirement. There's no background check required. If you live in Vermont, or if you're even visiting Vermont, as long as you're not a felon and violating some federal statute by possessing, you're legally allowed to conceal or open carry any weapon without any government piece of paper. I support that everywhere.
Would anyone like to make a direct comment on the gun control issue?
Well, I definitely want to agree again with Daryl Perry. Well done. Great answer. You know, this is sort of a joke, but it's totally true. I want to live in an America where gay married couples can protect their marijuana fields with fully automatic machine guns. I'll tell you, it's amazing because we hire armed security guards to guard our money, but we don't hire armed security guards to guard our most precious resource, our children in schools.
I would comment that the Second Amendment is not in state law, it's in our federal constitution. And the reason for that is because it's not about hunting or target practice or even self-defense. It's about the right of the individual being supreme over the power of the state.
One of the things I did as governor when I got elected is I got a concealed carry bill on my desk. And I signed that concealed carry bill, allowing for that in New Mexico. Well, for me personally, I went to get my concealed carry permit the other day, and it requires like 17 hours of classroom, which when I signed the legislation, it was either this is going to be the way it is, or you're not going to be able to get it. It was a mistake. There shouldn't be any restriction. As a libertarian, I don't want to take 17 hours worth of classroom to get my concealed carry permit, and I'm responsible. I signed it.
I used to live in Governor Johnson's state of New Mexico in a tiny town called Rodeo.
Yes, I am.
Okay, it's about 120 people. I built a flight school down there. Everybody was armed. There's never been a robbery in the town of New Mexico. Imagine going into the local restaurant, knowing that every man, woman, and child is carrying a firearm and trying to hold it up. So I am well known as a gun advocate in every respect.
I would have to say the same thing as a woman and a single mom, that, yeah, they're not going to touch that Second Amendment. And also, as Gary was saying, you know, we do our best to try and promote, like I tried to promote health insurance. And then they ruined it. It gets to the lawyers and they put legislation through that just is not what we intended it for. So I do still want to help. I just don't like that plan. I want to clarify that one.
I'd like to comment on this. One thing that is very apparent in the United States today is that the 10th Amendment is being violated because the Second Amendment is not reserved to the states. So every state or local or county law that infringes on the Second Amendment is constitutional violation. And as president, I would charge the U.S. Attorney General to take every state to court over
Yes, I would certainly like to respond. You brought up the issue of veterans, and it's tragic that what I call the parties of colonialism, the Republican and Democratic parties, refuse to take responsibility for the damage they've done to millions of people around the world and to our veterans. And this is a perfect example of why national health care does not work. Because look at the tragedy with the Veterans Administration.
Mr. Robinson has a comment.
I helped the stock prices of Smith & Wesson over Christmas. All of my bad days are. And the only question I have to your question is, what's the matter with open carry?
Just one quick comment about the Second Amendment. For every American citizen out there, the Second Amendment protects all your other rights. If you don't carry your Second Amendment, then carry a bullet for good luck. And that's just about how this country has gotten to. And there's nobody's invading our country. But the Second Amendment protects all your rights. And that's what every American needs to understand. There's going to be no gun confiscation whatsoever.
Mr. Reed, and I believe has everyone commented on the issue? I believe Mr. Reed is the last one. Go ahead.
With the totalitarian socialistic fascism concentrating in D.C. day by day, every true American should be backing. They've got the Department of Homeland Security, thousands of things, billions of rounds, and guess who they're pointing at? Combination with the capitalist society, powers that be are looking for a dig. It is the last hope to preserve our liberties from a growing fascist government.
Turn his mic up.
Mr. Smith, I apologize, we have to move on.
Okay.
This question goes to Kennedy. What is your position on eminent domain?
Eminent domain is supposed to be for schools and courthouses. And it's supposed to, you're supposed to get the value of your property if you're going to do that. I do not believe in taking anyone's property by force. From what I understand, I believe it may have been Trump Towers or something in Vegas, and some lady, refused to sell her property, and it ended up staying there for a while. I know in Springfield, Missouri, in fact, Walmart, which I'm totally against any corporation manipulating government for eminent domain, but in Springfield, Missouri, Walmart comes in, buys up all these houses, and one property owner stood their ground and refused to sell, and it's still there today.
Candidates care to chime in?
Well, first of all, I think that property rights are really the foundation of America and foundation of what we live for and what we work for. And so, in the context of eminent domain, it's more than than was just mentioned. It's it's highways, it's interchanges. I think most importantly, as governor of New Mexico, I never once implemented or exercised eminent domain on anyone in my 8 years as governor of New Mexico. And we had situations where people would hold out. And to me, if they held out, we'll just take these funds, these highway funds, and we'll just move them somewhere else. We'll just move the interchange somewhere else. We'll just move the highway improvements somewhere else. And for the most part, people did accept the offers that government gave because they were fair. That was for the most part. But like I say, from 8 years as governor, never once did I exercise eminent domain on anyone.
Do we have another candidate who would like to, candidate Kathy?
Yes, while I'm not tutored in libertarianism as most people are, I think we should all agree that it boils down to we don't hit each other and we don't take each other's stuff. And if that's true, we cannot let the government take our stuff, period. End of story.
Candidates?
Yes, thank you very much. Eminent domain goes to many of our basic freedoms and liberties. Number one that we face here, and I'm sure in all your states too, is gentrification. This is colonialism on steroids, where they come in, condemn property, the government takes it over cheap and pushes off the indigenous people that live there. So I am proposing that the Libertarian Party adopt as a resolution that the doctrine of discovery, which authorized the sovereigns and the leaders in Europe to come take indigenous lands around the world for 500 years. That's a Supreme Court decision also 200 years ago, that be overturned. We go back and redress that inequity where we took away the Cherokees' land, all the Native American land, and this goes, if you want to have freedom and non-aggression, the church and the European colonialists have been aggressing around the world for 500 years.
I'd like to add a comment on this. It really frustrates me when people say that we went in and we took away the Indians' lands. And I don't mean to, I know it's a debate, but be nice about it. And the reason it frustrates me is there's people like me who are up here on this platform, whose tribes actually united with our founding fathers, and it's because of all these tribes that united that we got our U.S. Constitution that's so strong to this day. So a lot of these people did come together, but there were some who didn't want to be part of that. And so, I mean, we do have some negatives, but there is positives too.
Thank you.
So
Thank
that's
you.
what I'm saying.
Do I have time for
Yes, Mr. Sorry, Barry, go ahead.
So I just want to mention a Supreme Court case that I'm sure everyone in this room knows, and I'm guessing that most people at home watching are familiar with, Kelo versus New London. That was to quote the lawyers for the town of New London, Connecticut, the worst Supreme Court victory ever. And the reason that was the worst Supreme Court victory ever is because after that Supreme Court decision where the U.S. Supreme Court upheld the right of governments to use eminent domain to take property for private use, not public use, for private use. They took this property, gave it to a private developer that to this day, 11 years later, has still not been developed for the reason that it was taken. But after that Supreme Court decision, states around the country strengthened their constitutions to protect people against eminent domain. I've got friends that were down in New London, Connecticut that were arrested for civil disobedience for sitting on the porch to prevent the seizure of a property. And I fully support the right of anyone to use civil disobedience to prevent the seizure of their property for whatever purpose, whether it be eminent domain or otherwise.
Thank you.
General Perry, of course, reminds us all of the elephant in the room, which is that if one of us is to be elected, then there is a chance that one of us could fill a vacancy on the Supreme Court, which is why it's very important for us.
Peterson, we will get to that.
Certainly.
Yeah, if we could just go ahead and move along.
I think Mr. Feldman wanted to comment.
Oh, I just wanted to comment. My grandfather, Solomon Feldman, came across with his father to this country. He put himself through George Washington Law School selling chickens on the streets of Georgetown. You can probably put yourself through law school selling something on the streets of Georgetown now, but the government wouldn't let you sell chickens. But he was on the defense team in the Berman case. In Washington, D.C., things can go to the Supreme Court faster since they avoid state court. And this was one of the very first eminent domain cases where he was defending an immigrant's local store from eminent domain of the District of Columbia. Thank you.
Thank you.
We can have one quick comment about the eminent domain. And I believe that the BLM, the alphabet government that we have, and the EPA are designed to take property. You know, so if I was a president, I would definitely eliminate their ability to take and seize any kind of property. The federal government, they own most of the country as it is now.
Thank you. The next question for Mr. McAfee, and this is an issue that is in the news right now with the San Bernardino shootings recently and the iPhones possibility. The government has asked iPhone to encrypt those phones to receive information. You have made a statement, I believe, on this issue recently, and what's your stance there? Should the government be allowed to go in and have access to those phones?
Absolutely not. First and foremost, it violates the 13th Amendment by it's indentured servitude, basically. Apple does not want to do the work. The government is demanding that they do it. Apple has been convicted of no crime. Secondly, if Apple submits, or if the FBI gets access to that phone, then they're going to go to Google next, which is 95% of the world market for smartphones, and we all carry one. They will all become spy devices for the US government, and by association, because if a backdoor is put into any product, the Chinese and the Russians are going to get into it within a couple of weeks, we will be spied on by everyone. So it cannot be allowed, it must be stopped. I'm standing up. I'm amazed I have not been arrested yet. So I have to be required to be arrested.
Can I just add, totally right with everything he says, but the FBI actually had access to the phone. That's the thing that no one's talking about. Because the password to the phone was changed a week after it was in FBI possession. So they forgot their own password. You know, the FBI, all they had to do was write the number down on a Post-it note. They couldn't even do that. We can't even trust them to deliver the mail. How can we trust them with this kind of security? We shouldn't.
One of the immediate effects that I heard the other day is that China would be able to then backdoor phones in China, and in fact, a lot of people would probably go to their deaths as a result of that.
Do we have any, Mr. Robinson?
It's a serious issue. We have a problem either way. If we allow them the phones, then China, for instance, could make the same argument and get into the phones. And if we don't get into the phones, then we have some danger to our national security. So what I'd like to see is a little extra thought and some onus put on Apple to look at designing some software that if the FBI went and got a court order and it was appropriate for them to see the phone, that if they looked into the phone, there was a barrier for the rest of us, where they couldn't get into the cloud and see our data and see ours. They could only see what was pertaining to that phone itself. And so that's not.
This next question is to each one of the candidates, and we will start at the end there. Death penalty, pro or con?
Death penalty?
Death penalty.
Well, I'm in Louisiana State, and we have a death penalty. And, is that something that I'm for? I guess to the nature of the crime. I'm also a very conscious man of human life. And I heard some conversation earlier about Colorado. They have the death penalty, but they made it a point to try not to enforce it. As an example of that theater shooting, everybody thought he should have had the death penalty, and he's living today, and he's gonna live probably the rest of his life until he passes away. Death penalty is something that's a touchy subject. You know, when you take another person's life, you know, people believe eye for an eye. And, you know, we in the South, and that's how you know, this country is. Does that answer the question?
Candidate Sterling?
I'm against the death penalty.
You don't want that explanation?
You know, as a pastor, you see people through all walks and journeys in their life, and I'm for the Second Amendment. If someone comes in, then you have every right to shoot them. That's, if they survive it, then let God be the one who judges them at that point. I wouldn't want to be that person.
Candidate Smith?
Yes, on the death penalty, this certainly goes to some libertarian issues that I have long believed, and that is that the government is not God, the government should not play God, and the government should not be making these kind of decisions for anyone at any time. So we know of 3 places where this happens: the carrying out of a death sentence, abortion, and fetal research. So I'm not making a decision on any of these. I'm just saying no taxpayer dollars should be used to determine and terminate any life.
Candidate Robinson?
I believe there's ways to protect us from the evil in this world without the death penalty.
Candidate Reed?
I am pro death penalty. I am also for public execution. You take a 10-year-old witness a public execution, and watch those legs twitch, that child is going to remember it its entire life and will avoid necessarily committing future crime. No criminal justice system is perfect. 1 in 100,000 is going to be a mistake. But we are talking about being responsible. You all sit there and say, well, in the economic realm, we have to be responsible. But when it comes to complying with laws, you backpedal. Our prison system is overpopulated. We must find alternatives to loading up the prisons, and I have a plan to depopulate it.
Thank you.
But with respect to serial killers, I am pro-death penalty.
Thank you. Candidate Peterson?
I am absolutely opposed to the death penalty. And I would demand that the federal death penalty be overturned. That would be one of my major issues I would campaign on. The government should not have the power of life or death. What excuse do we have for people to surrender to ourselves if they think that they're just going to be killed anyway? They're just going to continue to be suicide bombers. You know, ISIS has the death penalty. When they capture someone in cages, they burn them alive. Why don't we just do that? Mr. Reed here has expressed what is called Blackstone's formulation. He's more than willing to allow innocent people to die. But the American Republic was founded on the belief that it is better for 10 guilty men to go free than for 1 innocent man to go to jail and be killed for it, and that is my belief.
Candidate Perry?
The Death Penalty Information Center has a lot of good information that shows the dozens of people that have been exonerated and released from death row. People that were convicted on the testimony of a sole witness who 30 plus years later recanted the testimony and said, yeah, I never actually saw anything. We know that if the death penalty were carried out swifter, there would be dozens more innocent people executed than there currently are. We don't know exactly how many innocent people are killed through the death penalty in the United States, but we do know that the number is in the dozens. There have been people that have been posthumously exonerated 100 plus years after they were executed. And what's not being talked about on the stage tonight is the hundreds of thousands of people whose only crime is living in the Middle East. 90% of people killed by targeted drone strikes in Yemen, Pakistan, Somalia, Iraq, and Afghanistan have not been even labeled a potential terrorist. They have been labeled innocent civilians.
Thank you.
That needs to stop as well.
Thank you. Candidate McCaffrey? Candidate McCaffrey?
I believe the death penalty is both barbaric and archaic. And is that who we are? Are we the type of people that want to punish someone by removing them from this planet? No, I'm not that type of person. I know that the death penalty does not work in terms of stopping crime. It does nothing. No penalty works in stopping any crime. There are people in prison for 15 years who smoked a joint knowing that they could go to prison for doing that, and they did this. I've been in prison myself a number of times, unfortunately. And I'm still who I am. We are who we are, but we are not barbaric, please. This is the 21st century, and if we have any compassion as human beings, we have to understand we do not have the right, neither does our government, to terminate the existence of another human being. Thank you.
Kennedy Johnson. Kennedy Johnson.
Well, something that I'm really proud of is, I'm not proud of all the mistakes that I make. I make a lot of mistakes, but what I'm proud of is recognizing the mistakes and actually fixing them. So as governor of New Mexico, I supported the death penalty. The notion, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, look, you take a life, you're gonna get your life taken. But what I came to recognize was that the government does make mistakes. When George Ryan ordered a review of 26 inmates on death row in Illinois, and 20 of them got released, and then there was a very high-profile case in New Mexico that I never did really understand the details, but bottom line is, if they would have been subject to the laws in Texas, which is 2 years, you've got to be put to death, these inmates in New Mexico would have been put to death, and it turns out that they were innocent. So what I came to find out is that the government does make mistakes, and in a very high-profile way, as governor of New Mexico, I went from support of the death penalty to being opposed to the death penalty and saying that I would sign legislation to ban it. Look, I don't want to be the one person, 1 out of 1,000 that's innocent that dies. Well, what if I'm the 1 out of 1,000? What if it's you?
Thank you.
Yeah, this is a very touchy situation because a lot of people go, well, if we're not killing them, what are we going to do with them? An instant death penalty. And the responses, you know, I get is I hear people talking about put them in prison for life. That's just going to be an economic drain on the system. And a lot of libertarians believe in privatizing the penitentiary system, which could be a profitable slave labor camp, if you ask me. And I'm not advocating that. Don't get me wrong. I try to look into the future and the reality of how private businesses sometimes can violate law, and they have, and they've been held accountable. And we need the law. The law is designed for one reason, and it's to protect and preserve liberty, life, and property. And you know, our founding fathers, you know, treason, crimes of high treason was punishable by death.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Belvin.
I'll admit that there was a time when I was a little on the fence on the issue of the death penalty. I was convinced with an argument in about 10 seconds. Someone asked me, do I really think government is efficient and effective enough to have the power to kill people? No. I'm a numbers guy. I look at the numbers. It's not 1 in 1,000 or 1 in 100,000. The best studies show the lowest likely percentage of innocent people who suffer the death penalty is 4%, 4 in 100. And the only way you can get it lower than that is by banning the death penalty.
Thank you. That'll be our last question for now. We're going to take a break, and
we're going to turn it over to Danny right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. As most of you know, you have the tokens, the 5 gold tokens. We're going to take a 15-minute break to fix our technical difficulties. If you're not aware, our live feed has been disrupted, it's washed out, and we have some technicians working on it. So we're going to get it fixed out there in internet land. We'll take care of it, trust me. To the ladies and gentlemen in the audience, now if you'll take your 5 gold coins, take a break, get some refreshments. Ballot boxes are out at the registration table. Cast your vote for who you think won the first section of this debate. Thank you.
Can we leave the stage?
Can I take a break?